They say if you give 1,000 monkeys a typewriter, you'll somehow come out with the great American novel. Let's see what happens when you give 3 monkeys mics and cameras and how they do in fantasy football. Producer, hit that button. Technically, we're apes, but you know. Welcome to the Fantasy Passcast. This is your preeminent show on the internet. He is Grindberg. I am Bigz. Schultzy is over there in the production studio. We just finished crying over spilt milk. Some of the bad takes that we had to start before the season. Some of the players that underperformed, like my bad call on how the Jets were going to do. The 4 main Jets weapons, they did not do well, and I'll eat it. But we do have some victory lapping to do. And how are you guys doing?
Awesome, man. I mean, it's Victory Lap show. I sweated out a couple bad calls on the last one, so now it's time to, take our humble pie, but also eat it as well. So we did it last show, so let's kick it off here. Schultzy, how you doing, man?
Good. This will be well-deserved victory lapping. Looking at the show sheet, like if you really paid attention to the show over the summer, I don't know how you didn't have success.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome stuff. So let's get us started because there's a lengthy show ahead of us. So, Bigz, let's talk about one of your best calls of the year or your number 5 call. So coming into 2025, Stefon Diggs, he wasn't a sexy pick in fantasy drafts, but he wound up one of the most reliable veteran wide receivers with over 1,000 yards on very minimal target share. He quietly outperformed his draft spot despite an ACL injury in 2024. He proved he still has that elite production and chemistry in New England's offense, validating your early belief in his bounce back. Let's see that clip there, Schultzy.
Number 2 guy is a wide receiver that I was kind of hoping wasn't going to be coming over to the Raiders, and he didn't. He did just sign a free agent contract, a fairly big one, if I'm not mistaken, to go to New England and help Drake Maye, and that's Stefon Diggs. Now, Diggs is coming off of a season-ending injury last year when he was with Houston, but he very well could very quickly turn into the wide receiver 1 in New England with a prolific passing arm in Drake Maye. Last year, he had 2.6 points per reception. If he's projected to catch 100 balls, that puts him at wide receiver 8. He is not being drafted there. The injury is part of it. The slowdown in last year is a result. But if he gets to that 100 catch mark and he's doing what he's done historically throughout his career, Stefon Diggs is going to be an absolute buy. 102 targets, 85 catches. Didn't quite get there, but still had a good year. Top 24 wide receiver. Welcome back, Stefon Diggs.
Great call, buddy.
Like if we were, everybody was screaming through from the rooftops, Drake Maye is going to explode. Like it was obvious sense that Diggs was going to go with him.
Yeah, the whole offense looked good, and Drake Maye. We're going to talk a little bit more about him later, but I got a call here that I made, and that was a little bit skeptical at the time, and he was one of the most popular preseason hype trains, and I'm talking about Brian Thomas Jr., and that's why I told you to lay off. The role never materialized. He was weekly volatility, and he was crushed our lineups for the most part this year. It wasn't a miss. It was a landmine I warned you about in week 1. Schultzy, play the clip, man. Brian Thomas Jr. looked every bit like a breakout star in 2024, but dynasty managers should be cautious about spending premium round 2 startup capital on a player who may have already hit his statistical ceiling. Let's keep in mind that late season surge came with Matt Jones, not Trevor Lawrence at the helm, benefiting from unsustainable red zone usage and YOLO style targets that may not repeat in a more balanced Liam Cohen offense. Meanwhile, the Jags aggressively moved up to draft Travis Hunter, a generational weapon with wide receiver one upside. When you're choosing between Brian Thomas Jr. and established alpha receivers like Puka Nacua and Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're not betting on production, you're betting on projection. Don't pass up a proven superstar for a maybe wide receiver one in a maybe offense.
Boom.
Yeah, it was.
Watch him have 2 touchdowns this weekend.
Yeah, he might, and prove me wrong. But I mean, that was a call that I was a little bit worried about with those proven guys. And yeah, I mean, I'm still high on Brian Thomas Jr., but I just can't see him, returning what his rookie season was.
No, I'd honestly at this point be shocked if he ever repeated a single season stat line that looked like that.
All right. Well, let's get into another wide receiver, and one that Bigz came into 2025 with an underappreciated upside, and he delivered exactly that. Chris Olave finishing as one of the league's leading receivers in yardage and consistency. That boom we anticipated turned into a season of impact, and looks like, his fantasy relevance is back and with a vengeance. Schultzy, let's see what he got on that one.
If it's with a rookie quarterback, Tyler Shuck, Olave could return to prominence. That's what I'm banking on. I'm not one to kind of like fade a guy intending to or imagining that they are going to get injured. You just can't do that because it's the NFL. Players get injured all the time at every position throughout the season, and you can't really put a finger on predicting that somebody is going to get injured. You can mitigate some risk. Yes, he's had some concussion issues, but there are plenty of players who have dealt with concussion issues and then never had another concussion. So it kind of goes both ways. You can put your finger on one or the other, and you're going to be right 50% of the time. I'm banking on the upside of Chris Olave. I'm looking at him participating in 17 games for the New Orleans Saints.
Great call,
16.
Big.
I missed. He was only in 16 games.
Yeah. Great call, man. You helped me win a championship, and Chris Olave put my fantasy team on his back.
He went from do not draft lists to my fantasy MVP.
I love it. Great call, man. All right. Not much more to say about that, but talking about a double duo here that went under the radar here, and I'm talking about Drake Maye and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I made a short that had them both as guys that you should maybe get later on in your drafts, and that's exactly what I did, and it paid dividends on both sides of the ball. JCM was a little less of a factor, but when I needed him, Week 17, he came up with massive upside for me and, catapulted some of my lineups to victory here. So, Schultzy, play the clip on Drake Maye and JCM. And end up winning leagues. If you want to get ahead of the curve in 2025, you need to know about these two breakout stars. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is making waves in Washington, an explosive downhill runner climbing up the depth chart, and he's doing it fast. With Brian Robinson Jr., trade rumors, they are heating up. He's showing all the signs of a true breakout and is ready to grab a major role. And on the quarterback side, we got Drake Maye, and if you're waiting on quarterback, he is the perfect late round flyer who quietly delivered a rock solid QB 12 to QB 18 floor last season, and now steps into a better offense with a dynamic rookie running back and a quick hitting scheme. These two aren't just sleepers, they're poised to be league winners if you draft them late before the buzz hits. Both Week 17 league winners, called that in the preseason. Not sure how much better you can get than that at that stage, right, guys?
Yep, another playoff fantasy MVP.
Gotcha there. All right. Schultzy, let's get into one of your great takes. And you know what? Even though he got injured, things didn't end up panning out anyway. And you called it right off the hop, and you called the dip of Tyreek Hill before the injuries even showed up. Even when Tyreek was in the lineup, the week-to-week ceiling wasn't the same, and the volume cracks were already forming. The injury just finished the job, and the warning signs were there. You flagged him early, and luckily, if you listen to Schultzy, you didn't have him at all, so you didn't even have to worry about replacing him in the lineup. Schultzy rolled that short.
170 targets in this offense. That is no more. He only saw 123 last year, which is still a solid number. But when you were coming off double, 2 seasons in a row of 170, like that's a big drop off. And looking at yards per route run, this is another one that scares me. 2022, 2023, he led the league. First overall in yards per route run both seasons. 38th in the league last year. So we've seen he's taken a step back in the speed department. We've seen the yak numbers dip. The target competition is much stiffer than what we've seen in the past out of this offense. And the yards per route run, the efficiency metric has taken a massive dive. I'm having trouble coming up with a ton of positives to say or any reasons at all why I'm expecting a Tyreek rebound. So I'm pretty much out on Tyreek.
Yeah, for me, this offense was always going to be Etienne this year, man. And if you're Tyreek, like I said, you got to have that 170 targets, and we saw a big dip there and a big dip in efficiency going into the season, and it was scary.
Hey, why didn't we have the Etienne and the Mrs. show?
I'm not sure.
Good question.
Because it was a bold prediction?
It was well, yeah, the bold predictions were tough ones to follow up on. So, yeah, I shamed him a little bit, but I saved his self-dignity. But, yeah, I mean, Etienne was your guy, so you faded Tyreek, and that's why. And Biggs' guy, I love talking about him, and you rode him. You rode the dart train all preseason, and you didn't hold back. Every chance you got, you hyped Jaxson Dart as the future QB1 for the Giants. In 2025, proved the patience paid off. Dart carved out real volume, rushing upside, and timely production that rewarded the believers. This was one of those calls where Biggs' confidence just wasn't talk. He set the narrative before the stats caught up. Roll that clip.
Over the years, I've come to realize that I'm somewhat of a college quarterback savant when it comes to making calls on who to target over the course of the summer. A couple of years ago, I said Zach Wilson wasn't it. Another couple of years ago, I said stay away from Will Levis. Last year, I was booking Jaden Daniels and Drake Maye. And this year, my guy was Jaxson Dart. And so you can go all the way back to our shows in January, late January, early February. And I was on the Jaxson Dart train as soon as I dug my peeps into the all of the video that is available. And I've been super high on him, with him as the rookie quarterback one in this class. And my priors were confirmed over most of the preseason. It's not a matter of if he's going to take over the Giants offense. Choo-choo.
Choo-choo. Yeah. Dart train, and 2026 is going to be incredible. Love it.
Yeah, he's working. At the end of the season, he was working on avoiding contact, which is going to be huge for him, because he's still going to scramble. He's still going to run as much, but he's going to learn how to slide, get down, avoid getting his head hurt, and it's bigger things are coming from Dart. Plus, he's going to have Malik Neighbors healthy next year. Look out.
Let's go. And here come some bangers. We've got some hits here that if you thought these were fire picks, guys, well, I think the hits are about to happen here. We got about 5 more here that were just outstanding. And the writing was on the wall for Dak Prescott in 2025, an unproven run game, plus the Cowboys bringing in George Pickens, another alpha wide receiver to pair with CeeDee Lamb. It meant he was destined to smash. I called it early, knowing volume and opportunity would land squarely in Dak's hands, and he didn't disappoint week after week. Efficiency, TDs, they added up, and turning a skeptical preseason outlook into a full-blown fantasy payday. Schultzy, let's see what I said. After a really strong 2023 season where Dak Prescott finished second in MVP voting with over 4,500 yards and 36 touchdowns, well, 2024, it was a setback due to injury, leaving him a career low in fantasy points per game. However, 2025, well, it's shaping up to be a big bounce back year for Dak. That revamped offense featuring new deep threat George Pickens and the continued dominance of CeeDee Lamb. Prescott has the weapons to thrive, and without a clear feature running back, the Cowboys are set to be a pass-heavy offense that will lean on Prescott's arm. Given his history of 20-plus fantasy points per game and 30-plus touchdowns in healthy seasons, he's got the potential to return to elite form. The comeback Cowboy, he is poised to surge in 2025.
Yeah, we got on that early. Because of the QB2, QB32, QB8, QB18, QB3, QB31, QB6. It was just like every other year. So guess who's out on Dak in 2026?
Bigz is. There we go. All right, that was a good call, and I got a great call here that Bigz had, and I can't wait to talk about a little bit more about it, and that was Sam Darnold. He was a shock to most fantasy managers in 2025, but not you, Bigz. He wasn't afraid to back him when others doubted. Bigz saw the opportunity for volume and efficient play, and Darnold rewarded that trust with a surprisingly productive season. This was a classic fearless take, the kind that separates bold preseason calls from the pack. Let's see what Bigz had to say about Sam Darnold in the preseason.
Talking about teams like the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cleveland Browns, they're definitely teams that can make a play for Sam Darnold, and I would have zero problem with the Raiders taking on Sam Darnold. Make him a bridge, draft you some Jaxson Dart, basically do this year what the Vikings did last year, put together a playoff run maybe. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to put together a playoff run, but I'm saying some team taking a chance on Sam Darnold. He's definitely a quarterback that in a good situation can be the catalyst to do that. I'm not worried about Sam Darnold. I think he definitely builds on 17 great games of tape rather than 2 of it's back to the same. Come on. Sam Darnold was great all year, and he's going to do it again in 2025.
That was before you even know we went to Seattle too, and that's pairing him with JSN, incredible stuff and incredible.
Spoiler alert. It was simply just a matter of all the hot takes about Sam Darnold, and he had bad game in the last playoff game that he played. And everybody swung way too hard into the Darnold is done camp. And so I was just trying to get everybody to pump the brakes. And the guy's a good quarterback, and he's going to find himself in a good situation. And he did.
Yeah. You know what? I like that call. And I got a couple bangers here for you guys. And I was all in on Travis Etienne and that ambiguous backfield situation. It didn't scare me. In fact, I predicted it would give him opportunities to shine. Just like in 2023, Etienne delivered a monster bounce back year under Liam Cohen's offense, racking up yards, touchdowns, exactly like I forecasted. That early conviction paid off huge for anyone who trusted my take, and I had 2 of them here, 2 shorts I made, because that's how important Travis Etienne was to my preseason. Schultzy, play them both. Man, I cannot believe that Travis Etienne is being slept on this hard. He is going as the RB37 in round 12 after finishing as a top 3 in total fantasy points just 2 seasons ago. He was averaging 20 PPR points per game, and he still ranks second among all running backs in avoided tackles per reception over the last 3 years. With Liam Cohen now in town, the same guy who helped propel Bucky Irving and Rashad White to fantasy relevance, Etienne at RB37 feels criminal. Etienne's pass-catching upside, it will be unleashed again. He doesn't need 20 carries to pay off that ADP. He just needs that coveted role. At RB37 in round 12, he's not just a value. He's a steal hiding in plain sight.
Duval.
Got one more. Etienne might be flying under the radar right now, but the numbers show he's still a fantasy force waiting to bounce back despite injuries in a crowded Jaguars backfield with Tank, Bigsby, and Bashal Tootin possibly cutting into his playing time. Etienne still ranks second among all running backs in avoided tackles per reception over the last 3 years and sixth in rushing avoided tackles. That is pure elusiveness you can't teach. Even in a committee last year, he still saw over 50% of the snaps down the stretch. The takeaway here, folks, at his current ADP, Etienne's a steal for a guy who's all upside and just needs the right opportunity to remind everyone why he was a former first-round pick. Sometimes the best fantasy value comes from buying the dips before the hype train pulls out of the station.
Yeah, I'm looking at his history in my home league, and I had drafted him in the startup, and then before the 2023 season, I traded him, I traded for him. I didn't draft him. Art drafted him. I traded for him in 2023, then traded him away in 2024, and then traded back for him before the 2025 season started.
Smart man.
Smart man. There we go. Well, Schultzy, I got a banger for you. You were really high and talking this guy up all off season, and you absolutely nailed Davante Adams and his take, predicting not just a big playability, but the monster touchdown year in 2025. He also foresaw Matthew Stafford sustaining not one but two wide receiver ones, and Adams delivered exactly as you expected, dominating the red zone and keeping fantasy managers grinning all season. That was a pristine example of preseason foresight paying off in full. Roll that clip, buddy.
Touchdown machine. I expect that to keep up. He's getting a huge offensive upgrade than what he's had the last handful of years. 8 touchdowns or more every year, except for one, going back to 2016, and that was because he played 12 games. Offensive upgrade. He feels rejuvenized coming over to the Rams, man. Being on a winning team and winning culture. He's playing with Puka, but we've seen Puka miss a bunch of time. And this is also the offense that we have seen produce 3 fringe wide receiver one seasons out of Robert frickin' Woods. Okay? So talent-wise, Davante Adams blows Robert Woods out of the water. This offense can handle it, and they will handle it.
Handled.
Manhandled, if you will. And great call, Schultzy.
Consider it handled.
Yeah, pat yourself on the back for that one. All right, Bigz. You ready for this one, Bigz? Are you ready for your bangers? I got 2 shorts I made on you because of this bold call, the best one you made all season. And, you got us all on the JSN train. You absolutely crushed the JSN call, boldly predicting he would outscore Justin Jefferson in 2025, and he delivered week after week. JSN pulled up elite numbers, dominating targets, yardage, touchdowns, making this one of the most incredible preseason calls of the year. That's fearless forecasting in action, seeing opportunity before everyone else and riding it all season. Let's take a look at what Bigz had to say about JSN.
Last year, he finished PPR wide receiver 9 with 257 points. He had 137 targets, 100 receptions, 1,130 yards. His yards per catch was 11.3, meaning he's got that yak ability. He had a very low touchdown rate at 6. He should see some touchdown positive regression. He's going to be rolling with Sam Darnold in a Clint Kubiak offense that has an improved offensive line. And last year, with the same quarterback, you had Justin Jefferson with 154 targets and 103 receptions, 1,533 yards, much higher yards per catch, 10 touchdowns. So the difference there is going to basically be in the deployment of Jaxson Smith-Njigba, who doesn't have a whole lot of target competition.
10 touchdowns, 163 targets, 119 receptions, 1,793 yards.
And one more short to go
Yeah.
to prove your point. Let's see it.
Is that JSN's going to finish this year higher than Justin Jefferson?
Boom.
What? All right. I do have some data to back that idea up. So when I dig into the states, Jaxson Smith-Njigba was 12th in targets last year, 137, and Justin Jefferson was at 153. He had a 29.9% target share compared to Jaxson Smith-Njigba's 24%. Well, that's on the field with DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was taking targets away from Jaxson Smith-Njigba. The Seattle Seahawks are very comfortable with Jaxson Smith-Njigba as their wide receiver one. Justin Jefferson now has J.J. McCarthy to deal with. Well, guess what? I'm very high on J.J. McCarthy, but there are a couple things. Number one, he's a rookie quarterback, essentially. He does have a year in the league, but that year was not spent on the playing. I'm saying right now he's going to finish higher as a wide receiver in fantasy than Justin Jefferson.
Love that one.
Love that one. Yeah, that was a bold one, and that was one of our best viewed shorts of the year. So, yeah, that hot take turned into fruition, and pat yourself on the back for that one, Bigz.
Ow.
All right, the last one of the day, and it's the one that I nailed, and that was CMC. I called that before the season started. I told viewers not to be afraid of drafting him, even after some doubters questioned his workload, his health. I predicted the bounce back, and CMC delivered in epic fashion, finishing 2025 as the RB1 overall and proving why he's a fantasy must-have. And if you listened to me and drafted him, you're probably feeling pretty happy right now because this was a season that paid off big time. Schultzy, let's see what I had to say about him early on. Christian McCaffrey's dynasty stock, it took a hit after 2024, but the setup for a rebound couldn't be any more clear. In 2023, he totaled over 2,000 all-purpose yards, 21 touchdowns, leading all running backs with 24.7 PPR points per game, nearly 8 points more than the RB2. Now with Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason both gone, the 49ers backfield is razor thin behind him, featuring only Isaac Guerrero and Jordan James. He's expected to be fully healthy in 2025. CMC may not be without risk, but his current cost, he's the only running back who can still single-handedly swing matchups with elite volume, unmatched versatility, and a clear path for touches. He's still the one-man cheat code defenses can't seem to solve.
I'm going to pat you on the back, Mike, but I'm also going to quibble. He's not the only one that could do that, as we saw from some of the other guys that were putting up 45, 50-point games.
But at that draft capital is what
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like where he was
Absolutely.
going, he was like, Bijan, Gibbs, they were all going quite a bit higher than where CMC was being drafted, especially in redrafts. So, yeah. Crazy calls here, guys. What a season we had. And
at the end of the notes, it says no revisionist history. Remember the names, remember the calls. Pivot, basically, you learn from your mistakes. So we learn from the misses. We also learn from the hits. And one of the things that we shared throughout the offseason that I'm going to be taking seriously into 2026, especially when it comes to like a Garrett Wilson, a Malik Neighbors, blah, blah, blah. The idea, and I said this on our other recap show, straight from Andrew Cooper, don't consider what happens if he gets hurt. Consider what happens if he doesn't. You have to take this as like, okay, the guy has a little bit of injury history, but take the shot. Count on his production, and then if he gets injured, that's just bad luck. And I think we can. That's one of the biggest lessons from this year, especially with Christian McCaffrey, that we should take into next year.
Well, and you think about that situation too. It's like that injury history. it's there and it's baked into their price, right? So you're getting a discount because of that. So, you know, it's not gonna bust your lineup if you draft a guy like that because it's baked into the cost. You know, you may have whiffed on somebody similar in that situation, but it's not going to kill your lineup if you draft a guy like that. But if you do draft a guy like that and they hit, they're league winning hits. So
the other thing is watching the RB1s fall off. So Josh Jacobs from a couple years ago had a bad year the next year. Saquon Barkley last year had a down year this year. Is that going to happen to Christian McCaffrey again? We got to figure out what that does to his price and everything. But yeah, good call on CMC.
Great call on all of these calls today, guys. Was really enjoyed, looking back and seeing how we did. And I'm impressed. And like Schultzy mentioned at the top of the hour here, if you listen to these as you scroll through the sheet, certainly your guys, if you drafted, helped you win a championship in 2025.
Yeah, I have some rosters with almost all of these guys. So it was productive.
Productive, yes. And stay tuned to the fantasy forecast and everything else going on at FSAN in the off season. We're going to keep you up to date with the prospects, the new rookies. We're starting to dig deep into the prospects, and stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of content, getting you guys all set up for 2026 drafts. And starting with Bigz, headed down to the Senior Bowl, and we're going to see what the scouts have to say about that, and some interesting things will shake out there, and we'll be on it covering. So Bigz.
Yeah, and the other thing is redraft is great and everything, but it's not the meat on the bone of fantasy football. So if you've never played in a dynasty league before, go ahead and follow us I'm on Blue Sky. We're all on FSAN. These guys are on Twitter. Pick us up and talk to us. We can have some dynasty leagues that we put together with a bunch of the viewers and stuff like that in the coming season, and watch the Dynasty Pulse. If you really want to dig into fantasy football, it starts with Dynasty, and then as you just get caught with more bugs, you get into Devy, Campus to Canton leagues. There's a whole world of fantasy football beyond just the redraft leagues that you take new teams every year. So watch the Dynasty Pulse also.
Love it. All right, guys and girls. Hope you had a great 2025 season, and be sure to stay tuned to the forecast. We'll be back next week, probably talking about some rookie scouts and stuff like that. So we'll start digging into that as the offseason progresses here. And be sure to stay tuned to everything we got going on the network.
Yeah, we hope you won.
We hope you won. And
we hope you won.
Peace out.